old house on the outskirts of town. The house was much larger than I needed, but it had a certain appeal with its hardwood floors and large windows that let in the sunlight. It seemed like the perfect place to settle into after the unmistakable sound of footsteps coming from upstairs. I froze, trying to convince myself it was the house settling. It was an old place, after all, and old houses often creaked and groaned, listening intently. But the footsteps continued. I held my breath, straining to hear if anyone was actually upstairs, but I knew I was alone. Yet the sound of footsteps kept coming slow, steady, and unnervingly clear. My heart started to race, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone, even though I knew there was no one there. After what felt like an eternity, the footsteps stopped. I lay there, tense, hoping it was nothing more than my imagination playing tricks on me. But when the silence persisted, I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread settle over me. The house felt different somehow. I tried to tell myself it was nothing, that I was just adjusting to a new place, but the sound had been so distinct. It wasn't the wind or the house settling, it was the sound of someone walking. The next night, I made sure everything was locked up tightly before going to bed. I even left a light on upstairs, hoping that it would give me a sense of comfort. But just as I was drifting off to sleep, I heard the footsteps again. This time they were louder, more pronounced, half expecting to see someone standing there. But there was nothing. No shadows, no movement, just the faint sound of the footsteps continuing. I hit my chest as I made my way up the stairs, each step creaking under my weight. But when I reached the top, the hallway was empty. There was no one there. Everything was still, and yet the sound of the footsteps had been so real, so vivid. I didn't know what to make of it. The next few nights were the same, only to start again a few moments later. I tried calling a friend to stay with me, but they had work the next day, and I didn't want to sound like I was overreacting. I couldn't explain what was happening. It didn't make sense. Why would I be hearing someone walking around when no one else was there? I decided to investigate further. I spent the next day looking around the house, searching for any sign that could explain the noise. I checked the attic, the crawl spaces, and even the basement, hoping to find something that would put my mind at ease. But everything seemed normal. There were no signs of anyone being in. This time they were closer, right above me, as though someone was standing in the hallway directly overhead. I gripped the edge of the bed, staring up at the ceiling, too afraid to move. Something else. A faint scraping sound, like something being dragged across the floor. It sent a chill down my spine. The scraping noise grew louder, as if something heavy was being moved from one end of the hallway to the other. My mind raced as I tried to make sense of what I was hearing. Who or what could be up there? I couldn't take it anymore. It's a term they used for lingering spirits that cause disturbances in old homes. I didn't want to believe it, but the way the footsteps echoed through the empty house, the way they always stopped and started, felt too deliberate to be a simple noise. Trying to communicate with one above us. It wasn't clear, but the words were unmistakable. Get out. The investigator's face went pale, and for the first time I felt a surge of terror flood through me. We weren't alone in this house.